that, you know, action news?
You do.
Breaking news from Andrew Smith. Here we are live.
I was going to do the weather.
Oh.
I don't have any breaking news. It's beautiful and sunny. How about that?
It's sunny in Southern California.
Time frames in escrows,
Yeah.
contract dates, all kinds of fun stuff that we've got on our plate for today. And what we're really talking about, you've seen it, you're a listing agent, you've listed a short sale property, everything's going along, you've got it on the market, you get an offer in. Okay, so on that offer, there's a couple of different things that we always look at. One is on page 1 of the offer, at least on our offers locally, our contracts, it says, close of escrow time frame. It says buyer's going to close escrow 30 days from acceptance, and then we're going to have a short sale addendum attached to that that says the time frames don't start until the lender approval, etc., etc. However, you can run into some problems there, because one of the things that we're seeing is there's lots of different types of financing out there right now. The lenders are checking things and double checking and triple checking, but more importantly than that, there's a lot of buyers out there that are using, here in Riverside County, there's a Riverside County Housing Authority that's willing to, down payment assistance programs. There's things like that, and they need a set amount of time.
Right.
And that amount of time may not correlate to the offer that you just wrote.
Yeah.
And the short sale lender gets your offer in and looks at it and says, oh, okay, it's 30 days. And they may issue an approval that's 30 days. And then the housing authority says, well, wait a minute, I need 60 days. And you've got kind of a messy soup going on right there that needs to be figured out. So what are some of the things we could look at? What are some of the things that you can try and do to prevent problems?
Yeah, and you mentioned before we started this, as we were speaking earlier today, about the chicken and the egg. We can talk about one side or the other side. It really doesn't matter. What really matters is this: is that what's on the contract is what is the time frame in which the buyer has.
Right.
So, and I'm not going to point fingers in this video because I've done enough finger pointing at lenders, because they really, really piss me off on a daily basis. The fact they say, we can get this done in 30 days, and at day 28 they say, oh, just ask for an extension. Every bank's giving extensions, it's okay. And they don't think about the seller facing foreclosure.
That's right.
So one of the first things...
Or the seller trying to coordinate a move date.
Yeah.
And all kinds of other things.
They don't care about the seller.
Right.
And in my humble opinion, and I'll make this publicly noted, in my opinion, they don't care about the buyer either. They just care about closing this deal whenever they can finally get to it. Okay.
Right.
So as a listing agent representing the seller, the one thing in which you need to do is make sure that you're staying timely.
Right.
So in our area, it's 17 days to lift all contingencies, and some of us put counteroffers and only give 10 days.
Right.
If the buyer's not performing, then you have to give them a notice to buyer to perform. And then the big golden egg that I call it for sellers is that we are then going to issue a demand to close escrow. And that is issued...
Is that you on the phone standing up there? I demand that you close escrow now.
It usually starts with that.
Something
for me,
like that?
yeah. It's
okay.
like, hey, monkey, what's going on? We have to close escrow. But then it turns into there's actually a California Association of Realtors form that is follows suit with the purchase agreement that says if you don't close by this date, the seller has the right to cancel escrow, keep your deposit, and sell to somebody else.
Right.
So my team and I are very strict about following this rule. And what it also does is this demand to close escrow, it calls out any bluff by the buyer or the buyer's lender.
Yeah, it does. And it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure why. A short sale approval from a lender is just a contingency.
Mm-hmm.
No different than appraisal, no different than an inspection. But because we've got an addendum, and because the remaining contingencies technically, or those remaining time frames, I should say, don't start until that lender issues the approval letter, there seems to be a lot of confusion, as though all these time frames suddenly just disappeared because it's a short sale.
Right.
And it seems to get very confusing for people. And again, we've said this time and time again, as the listing agent, if you want a committed buyer, have them put their money into escrow right up front.
Yep.
The day the offer is accepted, prior to lender approval. Now, does that mean they can't get it back? No, they can still get it back. The contingencies are in place, but it's going to stop them from writing 5 offers if they're writing 5 checks to 5 different escrow companies.
Right. And realistically, by law, okay, they have to have money for each offer in which they write.
Right.
So
you're not doing anything outside, but some people will call back and go, well, what are you talking about? We're not doing that.
Right.
Well, and it lets you know that they're house shopping, and they're going to write multiple offers, and they're going to wait and see which one gets accepted first, and then they're not going to tell you. and now you're in a world of hurt.
Right.
And you're not protecting the seller. So all the time frames still apply. So some of the things that we're going to recommend, if you're a buyer and you are using some sort of financing assistance through a county, through a housing association, the minute you have an accepted contract prior to your short sale approval, you need to get that process going. Because what you're going to find is the minute you get a short sale approval, you then fill out this application that you send to the county authority, and we know how fast the government works. And now they turn around.
Lightning.
Yeah, they get this. They get this application. They go, oh, well, processing times are 60 days from date of receipt of application, but your escrow time frame is only 30 days per the offer that you wrote.
Right. So they need to start that process early if they're going to use that program. Or how about this? How about if they know they're going to use this type of program, why don't they put in their offer that they need a 60-day close of escrow?
Wow.
Well, most won't do it because if they go up against a 30-day close of escrow, which one is the seller going to take?
They're going to take the 30.
Okay, so this is a whole world of hurt that winds up happening on the seller's behalf, because they write a 30-day offer and they don't always put in the first and the second loan or what type of loan types there are, and there's all kinds of other stuff that I can bag on here. But the point of the matter is that if you're being upfront and honest about what you're trying to do, the seller's lien holders, more times than not, as long as it's all laid out, will give you that amount of time.
Right.
What they don't want is some kind of yahoo that comes in while we're open escrow. Remember, the bank's already paid their loss mitigators to negotiate this. They have money out of their pocket out of this. And then we get into the process and they say, oh, well, just ask for an extension. It happens all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't just happen all the time. And it's really important to know there's a few things there. We've already talked about from the buyer's side. You know, the buyers have to put, you know, money where the mouth is, so to speak. They're going to have to start the process, and they're going to have to get some of these things done up front. And it may mean that they may have to spend a little bit of money. Now, I know as a buyer's agent out there, you're looking at you're looking at this video going, you're out of your mind, you're crazy, because that listing agent's never going to get the property approved, and my buyer's out all this money, and I can't recommend that they do that. Well, again, it all comes down to qualifying that listing agent. You know, we're back to the chicken and the egg again, which way it's going to go. We're not saying it's easy,
No.
but we are saying that you've got to find ways to make sure that these time frames aren't just blown, because automatic extensions will not always happen. And as the listing agent, we always recommend the minute you accept an offer, you leave the property in backup position.
Take backup offers until they've released all contingencies.
And then you will take it to a pending status.
Yep. Now think about this if you're a seller and you're watching this, or you're a listing agent. If you've got a situation where the buyer's not performing and you've got a bunch of backup offers, and especially with the new B of A thing where you can bring in another buyer on an approval.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as it's red apple for red apple, we'll probably talk about that here in a moment, or maybe in another video. Is that you've got this buyer that's not performing, and then all of a sudden you give them a demand to close escrow, and they can't close. You can now bring a backup buyer and protect your homeowner from foreclosure and sell that property to the next person. Oh my gosh. Didn't this just become really simple for everyone? Follow the contract, follow the timelines, and if you can't, step off, the next person's getting on the roller coaster. It's just like Disney, man.
It is.
You're first in line on the short sale with the first offer that's accepted. Everyone else waits in line. And then if this person falls off the roller coaster, the next person that wants to get on can come on, and hopefully they ride it through the end.
Well, you know, it's the same thing again. You're going to get the buyer's agent that turns around and says, well, wait a minute, that's not fair to my buyer. We've stuck in you with the entire time. And it's like, yeah, we understand that, but you also didn't do A, B, C, and D because you didn't think we could get the short sale approved. What do you know? We now have the short sale approved, and you can't perform in accordance with the contract that you wrote.
Oh, man. You're really trying to get me, you're trying to make my blood pressure crank so I match my shirt.
You almost do match
I know,
your
man.
shirt,
It ticks me off. And again, lenders, there are some great lenders out there. I've got several I work with on a daily basis that are fantastic. Their money is where their mouth is.
Absolutely.
When they say it takes them 45 days, we write that contract 45 days, and we just let the buyer know that, hey, you know what? We're going to do everything we can to help you get a home. You're just not quite as strong as a cash offer or a conventional offer, someone that can close in a quicker period of time. But you know what? That's all part of the fun of selling real estate. We're going to find them a home.
We're going to find them.
You know, it takes a little more time. It's not easy money. We talked about that too. But the bottom line to this video is this, is that to protect the seller, you have got to follow the contract. And if that buyer is not performing, you make them perform. You send them that buyer's notice to perform. You send them that demand to close escrow. And if they can't, they simply can't. Step off the boat. It's a small world, and bring on someone else to ride the boat.
You got the song going through my head.
I do. It's going on in my brain.
So remember, I mean, that's the bottom line. Follow the contract, follow the time frames, be honest. Well, there's a novel concept.
Yeah.
Be open and honest in your negotiations in what you can and you can't do. And we're talking to both sides in that.
Absolutely. Everyone involved.
Everyone involved, and it would be amazing how much we would raise the bar in this industry and how much smoother things would run.
I'm all choked up.
Enough ranting. S2NEG.com with any of your comments, suggestions, feedback, anything we can help you with. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for stopping by.